Hello, this is Wmpyr here to talk about Muay Thai kickboxing. Um, I don't want to go into too much about myself, my own training and stuff, because I've talked about it a million times over. I want to talk about something different, but real quick, in 1990, back when I started martial arts that summer, um, I I was enrolled in a martial arts studio, but that for the summer I was sent off um, to Denton, which is I live down in the valley in Texas, and Denton is way up north. And I went to boarding school there to help me with my English because we had moved from Japan to Texas in what 89, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, they knew that I needed help. Even though I was fluent, that I was still behind with like schoolwork, at least 4 years worth, because I lived in Japan for 4 years. So yeah, I'm getting in way too detailed. I don't want to go in this detailed. So at this summer school program, I met this guy who is a foreign exchange student from Thailand, and that dude became my Muay Thai coach. That dude taught me Thai boxing, and I have some very fond memories with that. He taught me old school basic Muay Thai, and here you go. This was the nickname that he gave me. This was like my fighter name. Not that I competed or anything like that. I did fight. I did get into a street fight, but yeah, he gave me this nickname, which is he told me that it's a lizard, and I was like, he was explaining to me that it's a popular lizard over there, and that frequently featured like in I guess like their equivalent to the Sunday comics or something. And I was like, oh great, it's like a cartoon character. I was like, so you think I'm like this goofy kid? He's making fun of me or something? And he's like, no, this thing is very small, but it's known to be very tough. So that once it bites, that it latches on and it doesn't let go. That kind of thing. So I guess in Texas we have something similar, which is the alligator snapping turtle. So I was like, I guess that's what he's trying to say. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Okay. So it's called the 2K. I don't know the proper pronunciation, but he said 2K, and then he says when it walks, a lot of times in the comic books they go dang lang, like it makes a funny noise. But apparently this guy lives up in the trees, and you could hear him because that's where it gets its name. It like yells 2K, 2K, so something like that is what he told me. So yeah. Anyway, back to the Thai boxing. So my one of my students, one of my students in Japan currently, this dude, and this all happened recently. This dude was taking Muay Thai kickboxing. So first of all, when I met this guy, it was a little while back, a couple of years ago, when I met this guy and he became my student online, of course, online. Um, he I asked him like, what martial arts background do you have? And he told me boxing and a couple of others. But I understood that boxing was his main thing. And he's this young kid, you know, like fresh out of high school. And I was like, this kid, for him to boxing, I seriously doubted. Like I doubted anything real, like real serious. But the more that I got to know him and stuff, the boxing he was actually going to a boxing gym, to my surprise. When he told me, I kind of called. I was like, yeah, it's probably bullshit, but that's okay, kind of thing. When you're a kid, you exaggerate, you lie, okay, whatever. But no, he was actually going to a boxing gym. He wasn't good, like most of us. Like, you know, um, it's difficult to become good in boxing. It's very, very, very difficult because it's so competitive. And a lot of times you go to a pro gym, that's what he went to. He went to a pro gym. You're going to be treated like a punching bag for the prospects. And that's what was happening to him. And I told him, I once I found out that he really was, belonged to a pro boxing gym. I said, bro, look, you need to like, um, yes, it's good to go there, but you want to limit your sparring. It's a great way to get hurt, get organ damage, brain damage, all kinds of internal damage. So you really there to try to develop the skill, soak up the skill as much as possible, but not the injuries. You don't want the injuries. You don't want the sparring, and so don't test yourself. Don't fall into that because they're going to be like, don't you want to test yourself? Don't do any of that. And the best thing that they got to offer you, in my opinion, at a white belt level, I know they don't do belts, but a white belt level of boxing, which, most of us fall into that have trained in boxing. Most people will never compete, will never become an amateur boxer, will never become a pro boxer, will never become, um, like a solid competitive boxer. So I told them, like, the best thing is let it make you fit, and it's combat fitness, so that's awesome. That is awesome, right? And that's gonna help you out when you go to other martial arts big time. So I try to encourage him just for the fitness, but don't hurt yourself, because it's when you're training that hard, it's real easy to get injured. And then I said, stay away from the sparring. So anyway, I suggested to him that he do other go into other styles. So of course he was training with me Filipino martial arts, and he loved it. He loved it, and to this day he really really likes it. But I definitely was quick to encourage to him, hey, go cross train, and also don't be the flag bearer of my style. In other words, don't be, hey, I'm Japan's official Wmpyr method. I was like, no, you should be your own style. Don't. And real quick, some other guy wanted to carry my flag over in Japan. The Wmpyr method, and he was like, I'm gonna start teaching your style and this. And I told him no, and he got really offended by that. And I said, bro, you teach your own style. And he took that like as offense. And I'm like, you're not my slave. You're not my fanboy. And if you are, I don't want you to be. That's not good for you, and it's not good for me either to have something like that. I'm not. I don't want to be that kind of person that is that. I don't even know what to call it. That much of a weirdo, and you need to be a cult leader or something like that. I'm not here to start cults. So this affiliation bullshit, we don't need it. Okay, I'll teach you my stuff, and then you mix it with whatever you do. You make it into yours. That's the way it was taught to me. So the Wmpyr method ends with me. You could study it and you could pass it on, but it's for the purpose of you making it yours. So, and then someone asks you, what style do? You say, my own style, not, oh, I do Wmpyr style. No, I don't want that. And a lot of people, I guess, we're almost like brainwashed. We're conditioned not to think that way, but it's important to know your lineage. It's important to know, where you come from, and who taught you before and all that. That's important. But to keep carrying their flag, that to me is silly, because clone will never be as good as the original, and we don't want that. So anyway, so my student, I told him, cross train. So he started cross training, and one of the styles that he cross trained into was Muay Thai kickboxing. Okay, he knew that I was into it, and I had been doing Muay Thai kickboxing for a long time, and by a long time I mean on my own. Okay, not that I went and competed, or I'm not awesome at it or anything like that, but on my own. So he was like, so Muay Thai kickboxing, you feel like is very effective, and I feel like any style can be effective, but definitely I had my personal preference. I really really liked Muay Thai kickboxing, So he was like, okay, he had an opportunity to learn Muay Thai kickboxing, private lesson, private and semi-private lesson from a guy who was, allegedly a legit Muay Thai guy over in Japan. Now, I'm not saying I doubt the guy, but the guy seemed very sketchy to me. Okay, and here I'll tell you why. Okay, I'll tell you why he's sketchy, but my student seems to really, really like this guy. Okay, I've never met this guy or anything, but I'll tell you why I think it's weird in a second. But first of all, this guy told my student, and I told you, my student who's been doing boxing for a while, right? At least a year or two or something like that, right? And he told my student, he said, "Wow, you have potential to be a really good Muay Thai guy or something like that." Okay, and this is my student who I said his strength that he had from boxing was actually his cardio. He told me, he's like, cardio wise I'm pretty confident, but skill wise no, I suck at boxing. I'm people's punching bags, and then I believe that, I totally believe that. So, but cardio wise he seemed, he's young, and then plus I don't think he had like severe asthma like me. So then, he's gonna, and he's been doing boxing for like 2 years. Yeah, he's gonna have much better cardio than the average person. So he went to this Muay Thai place, and the guy felt like he had good potential. Okay, whatever, that's fine. But look, you always have to be careful at any martial arts school that when someone gives you a compliment, like the head coach or whatever, right? Your instructor gives you compliments, is not to get so swindled by that. All right, because if you're someone that is not used to getting compliments and you get a compliment, it's going to feel good. Maybe you're someone that is used to getting compliments. You're used to getting compliments, and someone gives you a compliment, you still eat that up. You're like, oh yeah, bring more, bring more. I like this person because they give me compliments. It's natural for human beings to feel that way. You cannot fall into that. It's like eating a cookie. It's delicious. So what do? Do you eat cookies all day long? That's bad for you. So it's the same idea. These compliments are bad for you. Okay, that is not something that you want to put a lot of emphasis in. And to me, it's common sense. That comes from, like, I mean, if you look up old philosophies and stuff, I'm sure all over the world they said something similar, that you shouldn't place a lot of importance there. I think a lot of today's people, they don't know that, or they forget that, or so if you're the type of person that you hear a compliment and you're like, oh, and it feels good, and you get all into that, you're going to be the type of person that's also very easily manipulated. And like I said, it's not healthy that you rely on, you get your endorphins that way. That is not a good source of endorphins, feel good chemicals. Okay, so I believe that my student ate those up. From my understanding, he comes from a family that's broken, and because it's a broken family, he probably not used to getting compliments. He's probably missing like a father figure kind of thing. So here is this guy, his Muay Thai coach, giving him compliments, acting like a father in a way that, or the things that he wanted from his dad, this guy's giving it to him. So he's eating it all up. You have to be careful of those kinds of things. You have to know yourself, know where you're vulnerable emotionally, and because we need to stop stuff like this, okay? And so anyway, this guy, I remember this was the biggest red flag. That is, not necessarily a red flag, because I compliment my students too. I'm not like, you suck, you need more training, you'll never get good. No, that's horrible. So, but I also try not to drop compliments too much, where perfect, that's awesome, excellent, excellent. you're doing great. I try to make my compliments be have weight. So I don't try to give them too often, but I don't never give them either, where it's just all like a negative environment. So that's a difficult balance. And as a teacher, that's something that comes with experience, and you learn that, especially if you're thinking about stuff like that. You're supposed to learn that, and you're supposed to be thinking about stuff like that as a teacher, as an instructor. And as a student, you should be thinking about, I don't want to be the type of person that is going to be vulnerable to compliments. Okay, so anyway, I'll leave it at that. But the real red flag here was when the guy told my student, he said, you're going to go to Thailand. I want you to go to Thailand and go compete. And this was early on. It could have been within a year. It could have been within a couple of months, maybe. Either way, even if my student had been training for more than 6 months, okay, and 6 months to me is like the minimum, all right? You have to be training at least 6 months. Let's say you do consistent BJJ for 6 months, okay? The average person, okay, you could go enter a tournament. You could go compete, all right? But that's a dedicated 6 months. My students cross-training in a bunch of different styles, and I just could not imagine that he was going to be ready Muay Thai kickboxing in 6 months. And Muay Thai that's not an easy, it's probably one of the hardest combat sports that you could go compete in, right? So that was a red flag. I was like, why would you do that? And to Thailand. And I sometimes I knew that sometimes they would set up fights because they want the Muay Thai organization. Imagine this, right? You get a connection in Japan. And Japan is a country that has, it's going to be fairly wealthy compared to Thailand, right? So you're going to, if you're smart business-wise, you want to keep that connection alive, and you're going to take care of that connection. And you have a coach there, and the coach is like, I'm going to bring in students to compete in your tournament, to compete in your events from Japan. Well, the crowd's going to want to see that, right? Oh, we got Japanese people competing in Thai boxing. Oh, maybe they have karate background. Maybe they have judo background. Maybe we get to see the samurai spirit. Whatever, right? It's going to draw the crowd. So are you going to bring this guy in, and are you going to absolutely crush this guy? This guy who, is a foreigner, and he's part of your connection. And yeah, for that first time, your crowd is probably going to love it if you crush the guy. And yeah, Thailand, go Thailand. Yeah, our guys are way better. All right. They're going to love that. But do you think then the coach is going to bring back more people? No, right? So I knew that they could, I don't want to say fixed fights, but they'll give him an easy opponent, make it a war, and hopefully the Thai guy will win, but barely. And then the audience is like, wow, I don't know. That Japanese guy the Japanese fighters might be pretty good. Anyway, there's politics there is what I'm trying to say. So I knew that this could happen with my student. So they might give him an easy opponent, but I also know they may not. They may crush him, and I know for certain he's not ready. Okay. Look, just the shin conditioning alone with Thai boxing, I don't think you could do that in 6 months properly, unless you want your shin bone to snap. It's, the stretching. I mean, he's a boxer. He wasn't a good kicker, so the stretching to be able to develop your high kicks, your middle kicks. I mean, it's gosh, this is. Anyway, it kind of makes me mad thinking about it. So my student goes, I told him don't do it. I told him, I don't want you to compete. I don't think you're ready. I don't think it's a good idea. But you are your own person. And if you are going to compete for whatever reason, okay, I want you to know that I'm not the type of person I'm not the father figure. I'm definitely old enough to be his dad, but I don't see myself as his dad. But I definitely, he's my student, so I want to take care of him. I want to make sure he's okay. So I'm not going to be like, you don't listen to me, you don't listen to my words, then get the hell out of here. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I'm not that guy, okay? I'm that guy that's going to be, hey, I'm telling you it's a bad idea, all right? Flat out. Easy, black and white. I'm saying it's a no-go, right? But you are your own person, and if you are going to do this, I will back you up 100% with everything I got. I will help you with training advice. I'll help you with mental, psychological, how to get ready for it. All I'll do my best, all right? I told him that. I will be at your side. And unfortunately, he decided to do it. And this is after I wrote long emails telling the guy about, because sometimes you could convey more writing to the person than talking to the person, But this is a young kid. It's not that he necessarily has a listening problem. It's more so that he is a young kid. And, yeah. When I think of myself, I was pretty dumb, and a lot of times you are your own worst enemy, right? So, I told him about injuries, and it's not worth it, and you have a whole future ahead of you. So I don't know why you feel like right now is the time where I need to test my skills, because this ain't your skill prime. It's far from it. But anyway, so he went. He competed. He lost in the first round. He got sent to the hospital. He was kneed in the liver. He took a knee in the liver. Why? What happened was he got in the ring, and I'm sure he was nervous as hell. And he basically didn't want to do an exchange because he's not confident. He doesn't have the skills to stand up there and exchange. Oh, you give me your low kick, I block your low kick. I'm going to give you my middle kick. Let's see if you block that. I'm going to set you up for this. He doesn't have any of that, right? So he charged in at the guy because he felt like he was pretty good with the clinch work, the Muay Thai clinch work. So he ran in at the guy trying to grab the clinch, and he took a knee to the liver, and he got KO'd, sent to the hospital. All right. So to me, it just backs up what I was saying, that he's not ready for this. Just like when I saw CM Punk, he was going to debut for the UFC. And I know a lot of people were pissed off that this guy, he doesn't have to go through the earning phase. He doesn't have to earn his way to the UFC. No, he immediately gets a spot on the UFC. What the hell, right? And I'm like, bro, he's celebrity. He has a name. He has the money. He has the means. That's the way it is. You cannot be jealous about that, all right? But when I saw him training in the striking, he was clearly closing his eyes. Clearly. He's closing his eyes. And I was like, oh, this guy, he's not comfortable enough to do a standing exchange. He's going to get knocked out. He's going to get knocked out. So what would he do? He would probably just charge in, trying to get the takedown. He might eat a knee and get knocked out. Or he might get sprawled on and then his back get taken and then get choked out. And I think that's pretty much what happened. So super predictable. Yeah, I don't know why. Why would you allow that if you care about your fighter? So yeah, to me, it's just something it's hard for me to let go of this, So that Muay Thai coach, I'm not saying that he wasn't a legit fighter. He probably was, okay. But as a coach, as an instructor, to me, he fails. And he could say that about me. That's fine. But, you guys know my reasons why I'm not a big fan of the guy. Okay. And it has nothing to do with jealousy because my student has other instructors. I told him, go cross-train. Go have other teachers. And at least one of his other teachers I know is my friend on YouTube, and I like the guy. So, It's not jealousy. Anyway, so regarding the Muay Thai kickboxing, right? I remember talking to a guy in a gym at the apartment complex that I was in, and this guy told me he wanted to become a UFC fighter. He wanted to make it to the UFC, and I said, "Oh, wow, okay. So what's your background right now?" And he was a Division 1 wrestler, so he's in current collegiate. He's competing currently as a collegiate wrestler, and he obviously works out every night. I've seen the guy all the time, and he works out hard. And this is after his wrestling workouts, after all the other workouts that he does. So I was like, yeah, that's impressive. Anyway, I said, what about your submission skills? Because you're gonna face that. And he told me I believe he was a purple belt at BJJ at the time. And I said, okay, you're on the right track. And then I said, what about your Muay Thai skills? And then um, I'm not comfortable. I'm like, he didn't say comfortable. He said, I'm not like a Muay Thai expert, but I could throw some leg kicks. He said something like that, and I was like, all right. I said, bro, uh, you might want to do some, work on the Muay Thai training right there. And it's not like something that you could just go to an MMA gym and practice leg kicks once in a while. You will snap your leg, like I mentioned earlier. The shin conditioning takes a long time. There's no shortcut for that. You know, there just isn't. Just like with wrestling, you need mat time. Just like with BJJ, you need mat time. There's no shortcut for those things. It doesn't matter if you learn the coolest, highest percentage submission move in jiu-jitsu and it has a very high landing rate. At the end of the day, if you cannot scramble, if you cannot, hold the guard or, hold side position or something like that, it's just your jiu-jitsu ain't going to be shit, and same with Muay Thai kickboxing. If you can't take the shin to shin contact, then to me, you ain't a Muay Thai fighter. And for me, um, when I was learning, I remember that was the first thing that my coach did and it was most of our work. Honestly, it was 90% of what we did. Now, a lot of that was because I was a white belt at Muay Thai. And yes, once again, I know there's no belts in Muay Thai, but you get what I'm trying to say. I was a beginner in Muay Thai. But we did just conditioning, and it was mostly shin conditioning. Okay, shin conditioning, because the shins are going to collide. It's going to collide against his shins, collide against his knees, his hips, his elbows, his forearms. It's just going to be hitting a lot of things, and not all of them are soft. Therefore, you need to have your shins hard conditioned, And now that I look at my Muay Thai, my own Muay Thai training, and that I'm continuing on to do, now that I'm almost 50, I'll be turning 50 this year. It's a hell of a thing to kick someone in the head, and to be able to have that technique where you probably can knock the guy out, Yeah, I am a light person, so someone around my size, if I throw a Muay Thai high kick and hit them on the head, I have a pretty good chance of really rocking them, or knocking them out, or rocking them enough that the next shot might finish them. I have a very high chance for that. And that is a hell of a thing. Is not only do they got to worry about my hands, they got to worry about my left leg and my right leg. And either leg has that capability of knocking them out. And plus in a street situation, I'm wearing shoes. Therefore, it's even better than the hands because a normal civilian out in public, you don't have hand protection. But with shoes, you're going to have a decent amount of protection, Of course, it depends on what you're wearing. If you're wearing sandals, can't really help you, but but yeah, if you're wearing normal shoes, man, yeah, that's a big help in my opinion. So yeah, that is a hell of a thing, and it's not the same as a taekwondo kick. You know, I in college I had a buddy who was super into taekwondo, and he was half Korean, so you know he had all the, what do you call it, all the interest, because he was like, this is in my DNA kind of thing, and he loved it, and I could tell that he was so proud to be half Korean, and we'd put on the Korean national team training on video as an inspiration to work out late at night together. And we'd watch that stuff, and it would motivate me too. I wasn't Korean, I'm not Korean, but I was like, fuck, you know, at this point in my mind, I'm part of the national taekwondo team, the Olympic, you know. So I felt that pride, you know. It was awesome. It was awesome. But he later on became like a U.S., not Korean, but U.S. National level competitor. Like he was at that level, which is amazing. If he wanted to take that seriously and compete, he probably could have. I think he just had some vices, unfortunately, that took him out of it. But attracted to the bad things, you know, and that comes also probably from, because he comes from a broken home, which is unfortunate. But yeah, very talented guy, very talented guy. He had all the talents that you know that I never had. Physically talented. But anyway, so training with him, I'm no good at taekwondo, but I've seen good taekwondo thanks to him, you know, um, and some others that I've met along the way in my martial arts path. But yeah, old school taekwondo could be a lot closer to like full contact karate. Full contact karate and Muay Thai kickboxing going to be, there's going to be a lot more similar overlap compared to like point fighting karate, which is a different animal. I'm not saying that it's not as effective, because I don't believe that at all. They're just different ranges. Okay, and if anything, I've mentioned this before. On the street, I actually prefer the point fighting, because it's a game of tag. I don't want to be that close to this guy that I don't even know who he is, you know, or what kind of diseases this person has, or if they have a weapon, they're going to hold me down and his buddy comes in and shanks me, or who knows what. So I don't want to be entangled that close. So the point fighting is the better choice, self-defense, period. Period. It's better for street, you know, and a lot of people don't get that. But if you are Muay Thai kickboxing someone on the street, to me, it's like you screwed up. You got let the guy in that close, you know. But if someone's going to come in that close, then this is a great answer. And if you could take care of this without going to the ground, even better. And this will give you some tools for that possibility, so that you can take care of it in the clinch rather than having to take care of the guy on the ground, where, like I said, his buddies could come in. Or do you really want to be rolling around on dark alley pavement where there could be broken bottles and who knows what, urine on the ground? Yeah, so it's just better, you know. But even better is to not even get into medium range or close range. So, but that's my logic right there. But Muay Thai kickboxing roundhouse kick, just saying, compared to the Taekwondo roundhouse kick, it's different. Is different, and I'm using stereotypes here. So you guys that do, like, you know, various styles of Taekwondo, or you do old school Taekwondo, you know, you're like, that's not true, Wmpyr. We got kicks just as powerful as Muay Thai. I'm not talking about that. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. So that's not necessarily the norm either. Okay, maybe before 1980s in Korea, maybe that's the case. All right, but you know, as we headed more into the 90s, Taekwondo started to become a really different animal there. Okay, um, which, like I said, I'm not against for the street. I think that is actually better. But okay, Okay. So yeah, Muay Thai kickboxing to be able to knock out someone with either leg, hell of a thing. To me, Crow Cop, one of the scariest MMA fighters ever, and that's what he could do. He could knock you out with his right hand, probably left hook. Uh, I think he also had a vicious uppercut. But then, so either hand, either leg, he could knock you out with. That's a scary guy. And he's a heavyweight. So that means if he can knock out heavyweights, he's going to knock out everything under. Whereas for me, bigger people are going to be harder for me to knock out. It's just physics. It just is. But anyway, so that's it about my Muay Thai talk. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.